Good morning, all. Talking about hope you guys enjoy my show I made yesterday. You have the wisdom of God. Yes, I do. I have the wisdom of God, obviously. Like, you really know how to blow our minds with your CFL videos, Ivan. And your Pro Sport League, SHL, and Hollywood, and the apologetics. I know. I could be wrong, guys, right? Maybe the Canadian dollars make a difference, right? That could be true, too, obviously. Yeah. But I believe it is the Canadian talent because you all the football games at the all the university football games in college, right? They all sell out. It's not like NCAA numbers, but like they sell out with like 7,000 to 8,000 fans. The whole thing is sold out, and some stadiums even have 10, 11, 15,000 fans. They all sell out, and it's the most popular sport in university. I guarantee barely of those fans are tuning into the CFL games. They don't really care about the games, and they know about those players who got drafted. Right, the whole school knows about the players who got drafted because the school posts this information on the main website. This player got drafted. When the players log into the university website, they see the information. That's marketing. CFL does that to market them, but I mean, barely any of those obviously barely any of those students in Canada are watching the games. Obviously, right? Otherwise, the CFL should be getting at least 1 million plus views, and yet they don't really care. So it's like either they just don't care about Canadian football, or they don't they don't really care about your American star players who you're marketing to them, right? They want to see the draft picks play, beat the stars, especially the quarterbacks. Now, it's all about marketing. All right, do you think it'll be overnight success? No, it takes time to grow. But in 15 years, at least 15 plus years, the league can double by like 200 million in revenue. Do 500 million a season revenue, right? Yeah. And that's around the CFL's peak, 550, 600 million is the CFL's peak, or maybe 700 million is the CFL's peak, right? Yeah, probably. It's all right. What do you think is the CFL's peak? Probably around 700 million. If they have a really, really like successful year, they could peak at even 700 million. But on average, probably 550 million is the CFL's peak, which is good. If the CFL can get to that, they'll be happy with that because their league is in a healthier position, and TSN will give them if their ratings go up to 1.52 million people watching, TSN will give them more money per season. But because the ratings are not that good, TSN's not giving the CFL any more money because they're not producing on their television service, right? The ratings are not great, right? Go ahead, you guys, you said, yeah. Yeah. Why? There's a bigger market where they can name players. Yes, because they're more known talent to the Canadian people, obviously. Yeah, they're more known talent because the players got drafted, and a lot of the university kids know these kids who got drafted. All the university students in Canada know the players got drafted when they get drafted. It's on the main website. And yet no one really cares. They don't tune into your games. So it's like you the fans just don't care about Canadian football, or yeah, or that they don't really care about your American star players. I guarantee you some of them do tune into the game. Yeah, this player, you know what I'm saying? And all these draft picks, their friends and family and all that stuff, they watch the games on television. Oh my God, this guy got drafted and everything, and none of them are stars. And that's why they're like, yeah, this is bullshit. I'm not going to watch the games. It's all these American unknown guys who are the stars up here over all these guys over the CFLs and draft picks. CFL doesn't care either. We don't care if we close on our Canadian guys either. They're not talented enough. The American guys is the way to go. You gotta be the stars for it. That's how it goes in the league. Yeah, you've been doing this for decades, and you're only peaking at $300 million CFL. So obviously something's not right now. Maybe guys been saying, yeah. I'll talk about CFL and I'll go back to talking about the SHL. Right? Yeah. I could be wrong, guys. Maybe the Canadian talent doesn't make a difference. Like the CFL markets them on TSN, the CFL panel talks about it when it's the greatest players in Canada, football players in Canada play. They market it at the universities, and the fans still don't care. But something tells me they're going to be more invested in your league CFL. Yeah. What do you think is the CFL's peak in television ratings? Probably 2.5 million around there. People is their peak for the television games because there just isn't that big of a demand of football in Canada. 2.5 million people tuning in is the CFL's peak. What about 3-4 million? I even know. No, not 3-4 million. Football isn't that popular in Canada, but it could go up to at least 2.5 million. That's probably the CFL's peak in television ratings. CFL's tried to get to that, but they're staying at that like 300 to 500,000 people watching every game. Not when people in Canada tuning into the games, right? No one really cares about the games, so it's like, and it's high quality football too, and yet almost as good as the NFL, and yet no one in Canada cares about the games. So obviously, it's not about the quality of your game. Quality is not the issue because you've been putting on quality football for decades, and no one in Canada cares, man, about your game. So obviously, either they just don't care about Canadian football, which is possibly true. That could be the answer. That's why you're struggling with growth, or there's a little bit of a bigger market for it, but it's not with your American star players. It's with your Canadian star players, especially your quarterbacks. If you market them well, that's how you grow the league from 300 million to 500, even 600 million in 15, 20 years. Boy, you guys are saying your higher James, I know. If they have the best players in Canada play, will the quality dip? Yes, it will. The quality will dip a little bit because the Canadians are not what they're not as athletic and they're not as talented as the American guys. Is it a huge drop? No, it's not a huge drop. Maybe like a 2% drop, 2% dip in quality around there, right? 2%, but there'll be a little bit of a dip, because the best name players are very talented too. And the CFL's scared if the quality dips, somehow the league will make less money. But CFL, it's not about the quality of your game, because you're putting on high quality football, and yet no one in Canada cares, man, about your game. So obviously, it's not about the quality of the product you're trying to sell. Obviously, it's something else. And I think it's probably the nationality of the product that you're selling, CFL. You're selling American product to the Canadian people, unfamiliar Canadian American product to the Canadian people. People kind of don't know anything about these guys, man. Why we don't care if they don't know anything about them. When it comes to CFL stars, I get that the fans love them or anything, but like they don't know anything about these guys, and they obviously don't really care about these guys right that much. They care about them, they don't really care about these guys that much. That's why your television ratings are not great, obviously. Don't hate you guys for saying yeah. Your league should be doing 1 million to 2 million on average people tuning in per game. That's what CFL should be doing. At least 1 million to 2 million people tuning in a game, which is good for the league. If the league can get to that, yeah, why we're trying to get to that, Ivan, because they want that bigger TSN deal, right? CFL. If the ratings can go up, TSN will give you more money, CFL, but they're not giving you more money because you're not producing on what, on their television service, right? Don't let me guys say yeah. Yeah. Oh, I don't have to go to the store and cash my cans. I can just walk to the store and get my smokes. Yeah, I have just enough for smokes till Friday, 4 days, right? And on this Friday, I get my $600. Yeah. How much do I have left? I have like $60 left. But that's enough, just enough until Friday to get my. I have enough to get a pack of smokes today, tomorrow, and Wednesday at work, and then Thursday I have enough, and then Friday midnight I get paid my $600. Obviously, right? Yeah. So you don't think the CFL hit 1 billion? No, no. There's not that big of a market for football in Canada. Its peak is probably about 700 million. Like that's probably what it'll peak at if it like really grows and is successful. At a $700 million cap, they can raise the cap to like $10 million, even 11, $12 million. But the league will probably not raise it to 11, 12 because they're cheap. The players will demand that, but the league probably wouldn't raise it to that. They probably peak a little higher than maybe 10 million. CFL because they're cheap. Obviously, they need to hold on to that cash. Yeah, we gotta hold. They're cheap. They gotta hold on to the cash. But they would give the players a significant raise. At $10 million cap, the players could be making almost more than double what they're making now, right? Pretty much. Yeah. The GMs don't have to worry about losing some of the American players in the NFL with a $9.5 million cap. Yeah, I think all you American CFL players would agree. Yeah, if the cap was at 9 million, we wouldn't really care about the NFL anymore. Even though this is our dream, we're making it an amazing living. Yeah, receivers can make like 500K, 600K in the CFL. Defensive players can make 3, 4, 500K. Well, if you're making that, that's quarterback money, man. If you're making that money, you live in an amazing rich life. It's not NFL money, but they'll turn down NFL opportunities if they're making that money. That's why the CFL's trying to get to that level. That way they can pay the players more. They don't have to worry about losing their American star players to the NFL, even though some of them will still take NFL opportunities. CFL can compete with the NFL. But with the Canadian players, you don't have to worry about that, right? Canadian players don't care about the NFL, right? Yeah. You're right. And Canadians don't care about the NFL. Why do they take NFL opportunities? Well, because you might as well take it, right? Like the NFL is the best football league in the world. The money's so good. That's why they take it. Yeah, I don't really care about the NFL, but I'll take a shot at it. I might as well take a shot at it. And they also know it's not their league, and they know I don't mean to be rude. The NFL has a bias towards Canadian players. I'm gonna keep saying that, right? Yeah, they don't like us Canadian players. Very rare for a Canadian player to start in the NFL. Very rare. Only like a few Canadian guys got to start in the NFL. Yeah. obviously. Yeah. Most of the draft picks that the NFL signs, obviously, the first round, second round picks in the CFL, they end up on a practice roster, or they're like second, third string, or like they have a not that special. They have a stint NFL special teams career, and they end up back in the CFL because they're not stars in the NFL. That's why a lot of the Canadian players only care about the NFL. They know their chances of starting there's not high because the American guys do have a bit of the edge of talent over the Canadian guys. That's just the truth, right? And the NFL has a bias towards Canadian players, obviously. Like, duh. Yeah, we don't like you Canadian guys. Yeah, they have a bias. Why do they have that bias, Iron? Because they're American, obviously. That's why they have the bias towards their Canadian players are not from America, they're from a different country, right? That's why they have that bias. But the CFL is the opposite. Like, even though like it's a Canadian league, they have a bias towards the Americans, obviously, instead of the Canadians. You would think they would have all the Canadian guys be the stars there, but no, it's the opposite. They have a bias towards players from a different country. We're not even from here. But that's funny, I know. Yeah. Yeah. Because the Canadian football players know the CFL is their league. This is their country. This is their dreams playing here. Is if they can have be a star up here, they're happy with that. They don't care about the NFL. It's not their league. The NFL's for the American football players. The CFL's for the Canadian football players. Yeah, we know that it's for the Canadian football players, but they're not like as talented. It's not like the American guys. I've got these guys up here having stars. Ivan. Yeah, and you've been doing this for decades, CFL, and you're having minimal growth. I go, geez, I know. I would tell the board grabbers, look, man, like your league should be doing your league should be doing 500 and peaking at 650, 700 million a season, guys. Obviously, and yet you're only peaking at $300 million. So obviously you're struggling with growth. So there has to be a way to boost this, man, in like 15, 20 years, guys. Something's not right. They're like, Ivan, it's not the American talent problem. It's something else. The fans just don't care about the league, Ivan. I could be right. Maybe the fans kind of just don't care about your league, regardless of who you market, or they just don't care about these amazing, even though they're amazing players, these amazing American players you bring up here who are the stars. They don't really care about these guys that much. That's my other answer. Or I could be wrong, guys. Right? Talking to all you American CFL players, I could be wrong, guys. Maybe there just isn't a big of a marketing counter for football. Yeah, you could be wrong. Yeah, I could be wrong, guys. But I don't think I'm wrong because the CFL's been doing this for decades, and no one in Canada really cares. So it's like the league is only peaking at 300 million in revenue. Obviously, that's not great for a pro league. Obviously, that's not good. You'll never beat the big four, but your league should be pretty successful, guys. Peaking at your 500, 600, 700 million a season in revenue. That's how much you guys should be doing, and you're only peaking at 300 million. So that's not good. Got some Sarah. Yeah. Yeah. You think you could be CFO commissioner if you were an average person? Oh yeah, I could. I would have my business strategy plan. You guys already know my business strategy, right? I'll have everything planned out. Yeah, yeah. I know you're worried about the Canadians' performance on TV because they're not as athletic as the American guys. They're very talented. Yeah, they're very talented, but they're a little bit more raw. They don't put on as much for the show. I get that. Put them through more rigorous off-season training, and put the quarterbacks through amazing training too, and good coaching from the coaches. That we get better performance on the field. It will not be like the American guys even will be almost as good. Yeah, almost as good item, but it's a little bit of a different quality. A little bit different quality, but still amazing quality football. and you market them well, and you think your revenue could double in 20 years. It won't be an overnight success, but your revenue could double in 20 years, guys. Your league could be doing 600 million in revenue, man, a season, 550 million a season in revenue in 20 years. 15 years, 500 million. 20 years, 600 million in revenue. You can even peak at 700 million, guys. Your league. Yeah, but the CFL is worried about the quality. Yeah, we're scared if the quality dips a little bit because it's not as entertaining football. It even makes that much of a difference. People can't really care about the games. Guys, it's not about the quality of your game, man. It's something else. Because these American guys you bring up here are putting on quality football, right? Yeah. And all you GMs and coaches on top, yeah, we know what you're talking about. We've seen CFL games. CFL games is high quality football. Yeah, it's high quality football. Almost as good as the NFL. Almost as good as the NFL. Not the NFL. Almost as good as the NFL. And yet, it's very entertaining, exciting football, and yet no one in Canada cares, man, about your game. So it's like, it's obviously not about the quality of your game. It's something else, obviously. I'm your genius. I know it's not about the quality of the game, because it is high quality football. With the American star players putting on a show, they put on a show up here in Canada, and yet CFL markets them. They market them to the Canadian people, and they hope their league like grows. So crazy people. Yeah, you can hope and pray it grows CFL, but like if they're unfamiliar product, you're selling to them CFL. They don't know anything about these guys. Either they're unfamiliar, but like what the brand we're selling is an amazing brand, Ivan. Yeah, I get that. It's an amazing brand. They're putting on a show on television, but the fans obviously in Canada really care. So it's like, I see Sarah. People in Canada really care, right? Yeah. Well, what's the real key with the Canadian talent if it could work? It's all about the quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are the key. Franchise Canadian quarterbacks. That's how the league can get big, man. By marketing the franchise Canadian quarterbacks. Obviously. Like you have Nathan Rourke, you have Trey Ford. And imagine you have Brad Sinopoli, Brandon Bridge, Kyle Quinlan, Trey Ford, Nathan Rourke, 5 Canadian quarterbacks. You market them to people can, and like which one of these quarterbacks is going to take their team to the Grey Cup? You market them at universities and the fans. Oh my God, I know this guy. I know Kyle Quinlan. He played at McMaster. Holy shit, he's a franchise quarterback for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Oh my God, I might tune into this. And that's how the league grows, and it can become huge in like 20 years. Ivan, like, we don't believe that's true, Ivan. The quality will dip. Less people are going to be interested in the games. I beg to differ, man. The fans are going to love these Canadian star players in the CFL more than these American guys from up here. Even though the American guys are more talented, they're not from here, and this is not their league, obviously. And no one knows anything about these guys. And this was not the dream CFL. I'm going to keep saying this. That's funny, yes, yeah, I know. This is not their dream, guys. Their dream's not playing here, these American guys. They're only here by default. Yeah. Try some Sarah. Yeah. Get my pack of smokes after this. Yeah. 2 more days off, today and tomorrow, and I work Wednesday, right? I work Wednesday. Yeah, right. A lot of the American players stay up here, Ivan. Yeah, they do when they go to love the league. They end up staying up here. Obviously, but like even though they end up staying up here, this was still not their dream, guys. They never would have been here had they been in the NFL. They're only here by default. Yeah. And those are the people you want to market to the people of Canada. Like you market a star receiver, or star corner, or star running back for 3 years on TV, and like two of those guys are not on. You don't see them anymore on when you market them because they left in the NFL. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's and you wonder why you don't have consistent growth because you can't resonate these American guys. CFL. This is not the dream play here. Man. They don't, yeah. That when they grow up and leave, they stay up here. But like this was not the dream. Obviously, like their dream is not playing here. Obviously, so you want to market the majority of your product to the people of Canada. Even though they're from a different country, they're an American product, unfamiliar product, people of Canada. You want to market product to the people of Canada, CFL, to the people of Canada, and the product that you're marketing to the people of Canada, like their dream is not playing in the league, obviously, in the league that you're trying to grow. Their dream was not playing in that league, obviously. So it's a very weird way of growing the league, obviously. Instead of the Canadian product, who are from here and who are loyal people in Canada, and their dream is actually playing here and being legends up here. The American guys, their dream was not playing here, CFL. This is not the dream. We know it, we don't care. We gotta bring out have these times. Yeah, see, by the American town, they're crazy people, man. Yeah. But I hope the league grows. Maybe I'm wrong, right? Yeah, it was not about that. I think it was how that as a Rocket League. I highly doubt it. Shout out to my movie star BG, but I might start a league. You never know, right? But it's most likely a movie star BG, right? I'm gonna be when I'm the king. Yeah. Is it too late for all the NHL athletes? Yes, it's too late for the NHL athletes. If I'm king when I'm 50, that's like 16 years from now. These guys will all be like in their 50s, man. 45, 52, 53, they can't play anymore. They're all old now. Yeah, it's too late for all those guys. That's why they will be crushed, the NHL athletes, if I start that league. They missed out on all the fame and the fortune. Would have been much richer and they would have been way more famous. And the amazing players in the NHL would have been SHL Hockey Hall of Famers in my league. So if the gatekeepers NHL, right? Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And yeah. All right, you're being a bit greedy. Like the star players you league should peak at 15 million. No. 50 million is too much. No, they don't peak any higher than $32 million. Unless you're generational talent. That's good enough. Mount House guys stupid, man. They're not worth more than that, man. Yeah. If you pay a player 32 million for 2 seasons and you give them 14 million of league revenue, that's what? How much money in earnings? 64 plus 28. That's 92 million in earnings. Then with their magazine deal, they made like 95 million for 2 seasons. That's enough money, man. Obviously. That's how much star players make for their long-term contract. They make like their 90, $100 million, those guys, right? 112, $30 million. How much those guys make in the NHL. And you just made 95 million for 2 seasons. And after you get that $95 million, guys, you now have to take small pay cuts, obviously. You're not going to get 32 million for 10 seasons. Amount of times guys do me. Get 32 million for 2 seasons, you got to bring it down to 27, 26 million for 2-3 seasons. That way you create cap space for other players. And you have to bring down the league revenue amount too. Now you get your maybe 12, 11 in the league revenue. You have to take pay cuts. I'm not having to do me. Yeah. Even the board goes told me, yeah, I didn't do that. The players are not worth that. Yeah. They're not worth like 32 million for 10 seasons either. They're ripping you off. Yeah, you're overpaying them. They're ripping you off. $400 million in earnings with your league, $400 in earnings for a star player, hockey player who's non-generational talent. They're not worth that. Emma. Yeah. Don't have them peak any higher than maybe 330, 340 million for their earnings. 300 million for their earnings around there, right? 340 million for their earnings for the 10-year contract. That's enough. And after that player makes that deal, now they're not allowed to get that deal ever again. They're not allowed to get league revenue. Why do we get league revenue, man? No, not anymore. You're past your prime now. You're not getting league revenue. You got league revenue when you were younger in your prime. Now you're not allowed to get league revenue because I paid you league revenue for what, like 13 years. Sorry, for like 10 years. You were getting league revenue for 10 years. Now you're not allowed to get league revenue. I'm not going to have you do like that, guys. Yeah, but you're still going to get paid if you're productive on the ice. Yeah. You're 9, you're 8, you're 10, 11, $12 million. That's how much star players in the NHL make. Yeah, we're so happy with that. But like, that's how much we make in the NHL as stars. Yeah, that's how much star players make in the NHL. So if you're still productive on the ice, you can still sign your 2, 3, like $30 million deal, whatever it is. You still get paid your $10 million a season when you're past your prime. You no longer get league revenue, but you're still making a shitload of money. That's how much star players make in the NHL. You make like 10 million, 11, 12 million in the NHL star players. Like David's making 12 million in the NHL, 12.5 million in the NHL as a star player, like David. Obviously. Yeah. So the NHL athletes are kind of, yeah, the NHL athletes are obviously the most underpaid pro athletes out of the big four. Like they get paid in millions, but they get like the lower end of it. They get more of the peanuts of the lower end of it, obviously, because the NHL doesn't have, even though it's a huge league, it's a successful league, they don't have the kind of pockets that the other leagues have. That's why they can't pay the players more money, obviously. That's why star players only peak at like 14, 16 million in the NHL. What they peak at. But they deserve more, but the league can't afford to pay them more because the league is not. It's a very successful league. It's making its billions, but it's not making the kind of money that the NBA and the NFL are making. That's why the NHL players are the most underpaid pro athletes. They're the most underpaid pro athletes out of the big four. They make their millions, but they get the lower end of it. As McDavid's only is only making 12 million a season. Obviously, like he deserves like at least like his 30, 40 million. Those guys deserve at least their 30, 40 million dollars a season. Those guys, but they can't afford to pay them that. They don't have enough cap space to pay them that. In my league, they can make that money. They're $40 million like McDavid, right? Obviously, he would have been making his like 40 million a season by league. Crosby too. Yeah, that's why they can be crossed. Yeah, if you're such a fucking dick, man, if you do that, you're gonna cross, man. We missed out on all that fame and all that fortune, all that money, man. It would have made way more money by league. And it would have been way more world famous, obviously. Yeah. Yeah. That's Messiah. Has to be crushed, obviously. Well, yeah, those guys would be crushed because they would have made way more money in my league. You know, I would have made like my $40 million a season for like 2 seasons in Ivan's league, and I only peaked at like 12, 13 million in the NHL. Like they're making way more money in my league. With your league revenue, you just made 120 million for 2 seasons. Make 40 million for 2 seasons, and you make 20 million of league revenue for 2 seasons. You just made $120 million in 2 seasons. Like, just for 2 seasons as a generational player. And even after that, they take pay because they're still making a lot of money. They make like they're 35 million. They're like 30 million for like 2 seasons. They make like 27 million for like 2 seasons. They make like 21 million, 22 million for 2 seasons. And with their league revenue, they pulled in like almost 400 million, 350s, $400 million in career earnings just for that 10-year deal. Obviously, you don't make that in the NHL's guys, right? That's when they'll be crushed, obviously. And I told you, if I'm a star player in my league, the whole world will be buzzing about it, and all the sport anchors will be talking about me and the other star players. I'll be putting on a show in the press conference interviews with the press. And, holy shit, Ivan's a fucking star pro athlete in the presser interview. He's putting on a show with the star players. Yeah. They interview with the star players, yeah. They interview with the coaches. How's Ivan doing in practice? Ivan's very productive. Well, yeah, that's glory. I know, it's crazy. Like, you have some balls to say you have higher potential on the NHL athletes. I do, because I have the genes of God, but it doesn't mean I'll peak at their level. Obviously, I most likely won't. A lot of the star players, but I have a higher potential, though. It doesn't mean I'll peak at their level, obviously. I have the genes that they don't have. They don't have the God in those guys, right? Yeah. I'm the imprint of God, right? My father gave me all the genes as well. As you guys saw my stick handling video, right? Like a couple days ago. That's me with no training. Yeah, I mean, if that's what you can do with no training, I can only imagine how amazing you'll be if you train hard. I mean, you should be amazing on the ice. Yes, I can. I have the genes, but I could flop too. I won't hit that risk, right? Yeah. Yeah. We will be partying up a lot with the players. Of course I will. I know after each game, I always party up with the players. As that's how it works in all pro sports, right? Pro sports, a lot of the times the players party up after games, man. They go to clubs and bars and they get drunk and everything after games. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's why these echelons to be crushed, because they missed out on all that fun. Obviously, being world famous pro athletes, making all that money, and the party life too. I'll be partying up a lot of times with the players on my team after the games. You sleep it off, and the next day you got to go to work. You go to the building. You have to watch film, practice, and yeah, it's a lot of work. Pro sports, right? Yeah, yeah. Will the fans be crazy taking pictures and everything? Of course they will. Wherever I go with the players and everything, fans are taking, because I'm king now, fans are taking videos and pictures of me. It's trending on X. I'm trending with all the players and star players. And they fall on top of the world. They're saved, the players. Players in my team are the luckiest. But the players in the other teams are not as saved, but they're still saved because they're working in my league and they'll be trending too. It's crazy. That's why they film the world famous athletes. They film top of the world. That's why these angel accidents like shit because they're side touchdowns. They're not as famous as the players in my league, right? That's why these angel athletes are going to be crushed because I wish I was drafted in Ivy League and I got to be a star in Ivy League, obviously. Yeah, and make all that money and be world famous like that. The fans of Miley would have loved McDavid and Crosby a lot more than they do them playing in the NHL because they're more famous. Yeah, I mean, you do that, you're gonna crush us, man. I could have been like a legend in the league, Ivan, and made all that money. Yeah, it would have been star athletes making all that, those hundreds of millions, man. Yeah. Obviously, because I know Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby and David, they're greedy pigs. If they worked in my league, they probably demanded 40 plus million, right? Even 50, even 50 million. They're greedy pigs, those guys. The GMs would gladly pay those guys that money because they're worth it. They're very generational talent, but they're not worth it important now. I wouldn't have those guys do me. Yeah, yeah. Even though you're a greedy pig, if I play in your league and I make 50 million for 2 seasons and 40 million in league revenue, that's 140 million. That's a lot of money. Like you're generous. Yeah, I'm generous. I may be greedy, but I'm generous. Make sure you're getting paid. But if you want more, I'm not gonna have these guys do me, right? I'm not gonna pay these guys to have to do me. Yeah, yeah. Wayne Gretzky only peaked at 8.5 million in salary in the NHL. I was shocked when I saw that. I'm like, how the fuck did Wayne Gretzky only peak at 8.5? Because the NHL was not generating the kind of money it did in the 80s, 90s that it is now. Back then, the cap was probably maybe $50 million in the NHL. That's why Gretzky only peaked at $8.5 million in the NHL, I heard. Yeah. Because the NHL was not as big back then, right? It wasn't as big of a league. Yeah. But I could be wrong. He might have made more, but I went on Google. He peaked at 8.5 Gretzky for his earnings, obviously, right? Yeah, because the league couldn't afford to pay more money at the time. Yeah. Yeah. Could the GM afford to pay three players $30 million? Yes, the GM can afford to pay the players that, but they're gonna drain the cap. Obviously, but if those 3 star players are very, very good players and they're or like 2 star players are very, very good players and they're big success of the team, the GMs might pay them the high end. They're 32 million. Two of those guys. That's $64 million on the cap. $64 million on the cap is not bad. They still have enough cap space to pay the other players good money. Obviously. You think some good players will bargain for 15 million, 14 million? Perhaps, yeah. There are some good players who can even might bargain for maybe their 14, 15 million. Chances are some of them might even make that. I don't think they're worth that, but the GMs, if they're a big part of the success of the team, the GMs might even pay them 14 million. But the good players are making on average probably they're 9 to like 13, 14 million dollars in my league. 10, 11, 12 million in my league they're making. That's good money. That's how much star players making in the NHL. obviously. That's why you have to create cap space. That way you have more room to pay the good players. And the average players get the leftovers. They get the league minimum of 750K, million, 1.52 million, $3 million, $2.5 million. For some of them make even 4 million. Some average players can even make 5 million a season, but they won't peak probably any higher than 5 million a season. The average players, which is still good for an average player, right? They're still getting paid, obviously. The average players, yeah, in the league, right? Players who are not that productive on the ice, they get like their 3, 2, 4, 5 million. That's still good, obviously. Yeah. But you think there will be some players, sport agents who demand, yeah, some players, sport agents, they'll demand like a $30 million deal for 10 seasons. And my guys, no, I'm not gonna have these guys do me. They're not worth that, man. It's nothing. I know it's nothing, but I'm not gonna have these guys do me. They're not worth that. You have to balance it out. They don't do me. Yeah, you're overpaying them, Ivan. Pay a player 30 million for 10 seasons. That's 300 million. Then with league revenue, that player just made like 370 million, almost $400 million in career earnings. They're not worth it, Ivan. Like, you overpay them, they're ripping you off. Whereas if you balance it out, they made what? They made maybe 300 million in career earnings with their league revenue. 280 million, 270 million. That's what they're worth. You have to balance out the way they don't do people. And that's enough money in career earnings whereby you never have to work again. And now, when you're past your prime, you're not allowed to get league revenue, and you're not allowed to get that deal in, because I'm not going to have these guys do me. I'm not going to sign you to another 270 deal when you're older and you're no longer in your prime. I'm not going to have these guys do me. They're not worth that. But if you're productive on the ice, even in your veteran years, you can still make your 12 million, 11, 10 million a season, which is still good money. You're still getting paid. You got some Sarah? All right, that's fair. After we made all that dough, we gotta take the pay cut. Like, we're not. Yeah, you guys are not worth it. I'm not gonna overpay you guys. How you do it, man? Most pro athletes in the other pro leagues don't make that kind of money, guys, in their career earnings. Emma, got some Sarah? Yeah. Most NFL athletes peak probably at 50, 60, 70 million, something like that in career earnings. These are star players. They peak at that, man, like 70 million, 75 million career earnings. NFL athletes, NBA athletes. But there are some star players who make even their 100, 150, 200 million in career earnings. But those are like the star players, obviously. The players in my league are making more money than the majority of these pro athletes in the other leagues with their career earnings. Got some Sarah? Yeah. Do the players get per dimes? Yeah, they get per dimes. Yeah. Regardless, I want per dimes. Yeah, you got to give the players per dimes. That way, you don't want to have the players pay for their food for all their away games. No, give them a $130 per dime for each away game. That way, they can pay for their dinner. And sometimes I'll pay for the dinner. It's on me. I'll pay for it, obviously. Yeah. Well, you want the players staying at luxury hotel suites. You could afford it, but you're gonna drain the budget, guys, if you do that. If you have the players stay at suites, no, they stay at beautiful hotels, but they're not suites. They're just nice, beautiful style hotels. That's good enough. I'll give them $130 per dime. That way they can pay for their dinner. The money that I'm giving them is for their food, their dinner, obviously. Their dinner, going to see a movie on theaters, and their dinner. And some players might even want to see a movie on theaters and also see a movie on theaters, going out to dinner, going to the bar. They want to go to the bar and all that stuff. That's what the $130 is for. That's enough money every day for the players to get like drinks and go out to dinner. It's enough money for those guys, right? And they'll be staying at hotels. The hotel cost is paid for. They'll be flying on on the chartered team jet, obviously, for the away games, right? Well, you have coach buses, Ivan. No, I don't need coach buses. Just have the players fly for each away game. That way, it's easier on them. I won't even have coach buses for my league because like you don't want to do a thing where you play in a city that's 6 hours away. Driving on a coach bus for 6 hours is not fun. Whereas chartered flights much faster. Like it only takes like 2 hours, 3 hours to fly to each city for a game. It's much faster, obviously. Yeah, we don't need coach buses. Yeah, we don't need coach buses. Just have the players fly all the time. See, but the reason why the pro leagues they balance flying with driving on a coach bus because they don't have the kind of money that I have. That's why something the city's not that far away. They just have the players go on a coach bus. They have the players go on a coach bus because it saves them money. But I can easily afford to have all the teams fly for every game because I can afford it. I have deeper pockets than the NHL, right? Yeah. What was that, guys? Obviously, I'm gonna go to the store and get my smokes, pack of smokes. Enjoy showing you guys. Yeah. The question is, what if I can keep up with these guys, right? I flop, yeah. Ivan, you won't flop, man. If you train, you should be able to keep up with the hockey players. I know, but these are the best hockey players in the world, man. Best of the best, right? Yeah. 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 You're a bit too generous, man. You're giving the star players league revenue when they're already making all that money. Yeah, because they deserve it, man. They deserve it. They're the stars of the league, and they're putting on a show on television, and because of the stars, they deserve. It doesn't hurt either to give them a piece of it. They deserve a piece of it, a small little piece of it. They're not. I'm not giving them any more. Yeah, because there's some athletes that might want 50 million of league revenue. My guys, you're not worth that. Like I'm not going to pay guys having 2 million. Are you crazy? Yeah, you get 5 to 20 million of league revenue. Yeah. But if they're non-generational players, don't pay them any more than 14 million in league revenue. That's enough. And the generational talent players can make a bit more. They can make 14, 15 to 20 million in league revenue. Pay the generational guys 14 to 20 million in league revenue. The 15 million to 20 million in league revenue, generational guys. Like the upcoming few rare guys. And the other guys don't pick any hard, like $14 million. That's good enough. League revenue, right? But you have to bring down the league revenue. They don't do the. You don't overpay these guys. More than one maniac show, right? Yeah. That's what Ezra pull the NHL water. Anyways, guys, there's Vero. All we guys on the shows. I remember signing out. Peace. At Shell Brady NHL. Peace out, guys. I'll have you guys in peace.